North to sky blue summer waters, way past Duluth and the Iron Range. It's a Frostbite Falls icon. Besides Frozen Nose, we have Icebox Radio Theater shows. The blizzards may come and bury Smokey Bear, but the Icebox Radio Theater is on the air. From International Falls, Minnesota, it's my favorite.
Good evening, and welcome. This is Jeff Adams, the Icebox Radio Theater, welcoming you to Bundled Up Live, a special presentation coming to you live from International Falls, Minnesota. Now, before we begin, I would like to remind you that we have lots more plays available, as well as information about our theater at iceboxradio.org, as well as our Facebook page, Twitter feed, Instagram, and so on. Now, there will be 2 plays in tonight's program, with a very short break between. If you're listening on Facebook or Spreaker, we invite you to send a greeting our way via the comments, which we will happily read out at intermission. Following the broadcast, the show will remain up on the IBRT Facebook page and will in short order be added to our YouTube channel. And the 2 plays will be posted as podcasts within the next few weeks. Tonight we have 2 world premieres for you, including a visit to the mysterious cave-bound storyteller, the Winter Warlock. But first, mystery is in store, with an episode of Lance Manley, Library Detective. So, if you haven't already, find a quiet spot, preferably in the dark, put in headphones, connect to a Bluetooth speaker if you have one, or barring that, turn off your computer monitor, so that you are now in the dark. This is the theater of the imagination, and the curtain is going up. Too Bright, the book light that's illegal in 5 states and the District of Columbia presents Lance Manley, Library Detective.
There's a million readers in the Naked City. My job, keep the books they read clean. And by clean, I mean without smudges, fingerprints, or cookie crumbs embedded in the binding. It's impossible in the best of the times, and unthinkable the rest of the times. But it's a living, and it's who I am, Lance Manley.
We'll be back to Lance Manley in just a moment, but first, friends, have you ever considered the possibility that your neighbors are laughing at you? That those sidelong looks at your yard as they walk by, or the half-smile, half-smirk directed your way at some block party or Christmas gathering might really represent a deep-seated disrespect for your taste, your home, your political views? Do you spend long nights at a second-story window with binoculars keeping watch on the neighbor's house just because? Then you might be a Too Bright man. Yes, Too Bright, the book light that you can see from space, understands that compensating for something cannot be done in half measures. So we ensure that our products, in addition to bringing the words of your favorite book, periodical, or pamphlet leaping off the page in perfect white-hot legibility, can also blind your enemies in the event of a quick getaway or preemptive strike. Now available strictly via mail order, Too Bright comes in 3 models: the Eisenhower clamp-on model, the Nixon floor-standing, and the John Birch shoulder-mounted tactical unit. Send $3 for your free catalog to Catalog, 3 Castro Boulevard, Casa del Loco, Cuba. Do it now, before they find out. And now back to Lance Manley, Library Detective. In a tiny alcove high above the stacks of the public library, a frosted glass door keeps evildoers at bay and bibliophiles fingering the stacks in safety. For on the other side of that glass, sitting behind a battered oak desk, is the cop of cataloging, the Shamus of the stacks, the Dick of Dewey Decimals, Lance Manley, Library Detective.
In all the reading rooms and all the back stacks in all the world, there's one thing every spine slammer fears above all: the Vandal. Sometimes it's just a kid with crayons adding eyeglasses to Curious George and the Lorax. Other times it can be a misguided intellectual writing criticism in the margins of the latest science book the New York Times pegged as accessible. Whatever the case, Vandals are boogeymen to librarians. Most of the time, their unholy work can be undone with a gum eraser and a little elbow grease. But not this time. This time was different. It all started for me when I saw a shadow cross my frosted glass door.
Manley, what's the meaning of this?
It was the boss lady, Effie Standish, head librarian, and one tough cookie. We had a begrudging respect for each other, born of necessity. She had to keep the dark forces away from her books, and I had to keep my bank account above water, if only just.
Well, Manley, you gonna take all day?
Sorry, boss, I had to finish the narration.
Explain this.
What, the book you threw on my desk? Looks like a hardback James Patterson. What's the beef?
Open it.
I don't get it.
You don't, eh? Well, that's funny, since I was under the impression you were supposed to be security around here.
Cripes. Boss, the entire book has been
Ruined!
replaced. Every page covered in whiteout.
You don't say. It's a tragedy, Manley. I've never seen the like of it before. An entire book altered until it's unrecognizable.
You find this in the stacks?
Yes, right where it belongs, in with the rest of the Pattersons. Only this one, instead of being a taut thriller about 1950s Berlin, is the heartwarming story of two people finding love in the autumn of their lives.
That's a pretty big change.
That's nothing. The latest Joe Hill was changed into a long essay about local architecture, and 50 Shades of Grey is now about growing cold-frame tomatoes.
Who could do something like this?
Any decent bookbinder, of course. Mrs. Riley used to do binding here at the library, but she's been retired for years.
Any clues?
That's your job. I want this over, Manley. I want this criminal caught and all the books he's vandalized put right. Consider this your annual review.
Meaning?
Meaning if you don't catch this scum, you can hick the bricks. By walking on them.
Effie was tough, it's true, but she didn't waste words. If she was threatening my job over this case, then it must be serious. So I started where anyone would, the book in front of me. The cover was classic Patterson, block letters in gold, a title that promised global intrigue. But when you cracked the spine, all that disappeared like cigar smoke in the wind. Most every page of the book had been carefully rewritten. Where Patterson's prose fit, the culprit kept it intact. Where it didn't, a thin layer of correcting fluid had been applied to the page, and new words written over with an old typewriter. Smith Corona if I knew my vintage topography. The job was crude, but carefully, even lovingly done, as if the vandal wasn't really out to destroy the books, just change them. About the only thing criminal about the whole enterprise was the writing, which would have given my AP English teacher 2 strokes and a drinking problem. Bad? You haven't read bad until you've read this drivel. Luckily, that wasn't my problem. I just had to focus on the book, not the words, and the book gave me plenty of clues. I didn't have a suspect yet, or a motive, but I did have a starting place, and he was right there in the library's basement. You busy, Doghouse?
Oh, hey, Lance. What can I do for you?
Doghouse Riley, the library's resident custodial engineer, fix-it man, and in a pinch, amateur detective. What I didn't notice, Doghouse did, and despite his punch-drunk demeanor, he remembered everything.
Done with the narration, Lance?
You're a funny guy, Doghouse. Seen this?
It's a book, ain't it?
2 for 2, Doghouse. You're a laugh riot today. We've got a problem upstairs, and Boss Lady wants it over by yesterday.
What's the beef? Just a Patterson, ain't it?
Someone's messing with the collection. Take a gander at that book and you'll see what I mean.
Hey, this ain't right.
No kidding.
The word's been changed.
I make it a correction fluid and typewriter job. Smith Corona, most likely.
Yeah, could be. But how you gonna type into a hardbound book? How you gonna? Book don't fit in no typewriter. It'll get all smushed like it would.
Boss Lady thinks our crook has bookbinding skills. Thinks the culprit takes the book apart, types in the new words, then puts it back together.
Yeah, could be.
Something wrong?
No, Lance. What could be wrong? Be wrong?
So, we're looking for somebody with a whole lot of whiteout, a typewriter, and the ability to rebind books.
That's about the size of it, yeah.
You had a typewriter down here, didn't you, Doghouse?
What? You accusing me, Lance? I thought we was friends, we was.
Put out the fire, no one's accusing you of anything. But I gotta cover all the angles, and I remember a battered manual sitting on your desk.
Oh, yeah. I got rid of that a long time ago. Used it to type envelopes for supply orders, I did. But I do all that with my phone now.
Join the 21st century, huh?
Can't live in the past, Lance. I get my mops and such from the .coms now, .coms.
Yeah, that typewriter, though, it was...
Yes, Lance?
That typewriter sat right there on that spot, didn't it?
What, here?
On your desk, yeah.
I suppose that's where it sat. I don't remember, honestly.
Doghouse.
Yes, Lance?
There's dust all over this desk except where that typewriter sat. You can see a dust-free square just about the right size.
Yeah, well, I'm not much of a housekeeper.
Where's the typewriter, Doghouse?
I told you, Lance, I got rid of it.
Trash?
Sure.
You, Doghouse Riley, just threw out a working manual typewriter.
Yeah, why not?
Shame. Tom Hanks would pay a dime or two for an item like that.
Yeah, well, live and learn, I guess. Loved him in Forrest Gump.
A classic.
Yeah. Is that all you needed, Lance?
Just one more thing. In all the orders you've done on your phone, any chance you've picked up a large quantity of whiteout?
Whiteout? No, of course not. Who uses that stuff anymore, that stuff?
Our mystery man does.
Well, I can tell you I didn't order any whiteout for them. Now, if you'll excuse me, that radiator in the junior room ain't gonna fix itself.
Doghouse Riley's a friend. We've chewed the fat more than once. Even literally that one time when we set up the grill out back. But something was up with him now. He was cagey, evasive, and his yarn about tossing an old typewriter in the trash didn't hold water. Doghouse could fix, rebuild, or refurbish anything. His whole office was full of antiques that he'd brought back to life, and that dustless square on his desk said his typewriter hadn't disappeared recently. Not in the distant past like he made it. But I didn't figure it would be the book vandal. That idea couldn't stand up without crutches. Plus, Doghouse was as honest as a Michener is long, and when I'd asked him straight up if he'd ordered a large quantity of whiteout, he looked me square in the eyes and said no. There was a piece I was missing, and I knew where to find it, but it wasn't gonna be easy.
Come in. Well?
Good afternoon to you too, boss.
Can the wisecracks, Manley. Have you put a stop to the vandalism around here?
Relax, boss. The day is young.
Look at that. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone. Ruined.
What's the angle this time?
Don't ask. Let's just say the boy who lived is now very focused on painting watercolors along the North Shore.
Well, they probably taught painting at Hogwarts.
Can the jokes. Why are you here?
Got a lead on a suspect.
Who?
I'd just as soon not tell you in case things don't pan out. But I need access to the employee records.
Think it's an inside job?
Maybe.
Who?
Like I said, boss, I'd rather not.
And I'd rather not give you access to the employee records. They're confidential.
Do you want this solved or not?
Not at that price. Accusing staff of such a heinous crime? Ridiculous. Get your can and gear, Manley, or get busy looking for another job.
Being threatened with firing was certainly nothing new coming from Effie, but it felt a little different this time, and I could see her point. I was in charge of security around here, and someone was ruining books on my watch. Kind of an existential crisis for a gumshoe like me. I went back to my office and weighed my options. I didn't like how they added up, but I was getting desperate. So I turned out my office light, sat back in my chair, and waited. An hour or so later, I heard Effie Standish leave her office down the hall and lock up the library. I waited 10 minutes, then went silently down to Effie's office. I got out my lockpicking kit, a souvenir from a previous life, and made ready to open Effie's door the hard way. That's when I noticed it was ajar. Someone had beaten me to it. A single flashlight strobed crazily all around the walls, giving me just enough light to make out a figure standing at the filing cabinets. I couldn't see who it was, but I could see he was digging in the cabinet's employee records section. He didn't see me yet, so I made with the cat feet and crept closer. I almost got right up on him, when the beam from a too-bright tactical unit hit me square in the face. Hey! Stop in the name of library security! Ugh! I still hadn't seen him, but I knew he had a good right hook. I got up and staggered out the door to the hallway. There were 2 staircases, one to my left and one to my right, both empty. I tried to listen for any sign of him, but came up with 0. My head was still ringing, and the mystery man was gone. That's when I spotted a piece of paper down at my feet. Mystery man must have shed it making like Jesse Owens. I picked it up, and couldn't believe what I was now holding in my hands. I had a solid case now, but I didn't like it. I went back into Effie's office to do what I originally came to do, and 2 minutes of rustling gave me all the info I needed. Back in my office, I mulled things over and decided the straight and narrow was the only way. So I rattled off an email telling the interested parties to meet me here in the morning. It was time to have this out. At 9 a.m. sharp, my office door was flung open by an angry librarian.
We open in an hour, Manley, and I have things to do.
Cool your heels, boss. Take the good chair.
I plan to. You solved it?
Yeah,
Caught the monster?
we'll see.
You'd better, or this means your job.
You've made that abundantly clear. But things should be coming together any second now. And right on schedule. Come in, Doghouse.
Hi, Lance. Good morning, Miss Standish.
This again? Come on, Manley. You're barking up the wrong tree. There is no way Doghouse would deface books. Is there, Doghouse?
Of course not, Miss Standish. That's a crime, it is.
You see? Look into his eyes. This man is as honest as the day is long. More than I can say for you, you cheap Seamus. Pack your bags, Manley. You're fired.
Oh, gosh, Effie, that's a shame. Makes me all choked up thinking about leaving all my good friends here at the library.
What's with the tone, Manley? Don't you know when you're not wanted?
Oh, I'll miss you all, honest. Especially you, Doghouse. How about we shake?
Gee, Lance, I'm gonna miss you too.
What's with the bashful act, Doghouse? Give me your hand. Why are you keeping it behind your back like that?
Oh, no reason, just, sanitation and stuff. No offense.
Doghouse, show me the hand.
Well, all right. Here.
Shake.
I don't...
Shake my hand, Doghouse.
Well, Lance, if it's all the same to you, I'd just as soon give you a Boy Scout salute.
What's all this about? For heaven's sake, Doghouse, just shake his hand so he'll leave.
There it is, Doghouse, practically in order. Put her there. Did I hurt you?
No.
You see, that's funny, because I can see how badly swollen that hand is from here. I barely squeezed it, and you made like a vice was clamped on.
What's the meaning of this?
Doghouse hurt his hand, boss. He hurt it when he clipped my jaw last night in your office.
What?
I stayed late to get a look at those employee files, but someone beat me to it. Doghouse was in your filing cabinet when I came in. It was dark, so I wasn't sure it was him. We tussled. He clocked me. I got the bruise, see? And he's got the hand.
I don't understand.
If you look now, you'll see one of the Riley files is missing. Why don't we saunter over to your office and have a look-see?
I don't know why you're spinning yarns, Manley, but you're all wet. See? There's Doghouse Riley's personnel file, and I found it right where it should have been.
Right? But I didn't say Doghouse's file would be missing. I said a file from one of the Rileys would be. And I meant Doghouse Riley's mother and this library's former binder, Mabel.
What? Mabel's been retired for years.
It's the only thing that adds up. The key to it was all you, Doghouse. You and your famous honesty.
I never lied, Lance. I never.
Of course not. And that's what gave me a solution to this puzzle. Whoever defaced our books needed 3 things: a typewriter, a whole lot of correcting fluid, and expertise in bookbinding. Your mother had all 3. You gave her your typewriter because, as you said, you didn't use it as much since you started ordering supplies online. And because you did all those online orders, it was easy to pick up a massive quantity of correcting fluid. I thought I was at a dead end when I asked you about ordering whiteout. You remember what you said to that Doghouse?
Sure. I said no. I never did order that, I didn't.
And that had me stumped until our little altercation in this office last night. You dropped something in your haste, Doghouse. You dropped this receipt.
Good Lord. He ordered an entire gross of liquid paper.
Yeah. I'd asked him about whiteout. That's a brand name of correction fluid, just like liquid paper is. That gave him just enough wiggle room to weasel out of a confession.
I'm sorry, Lance. Really, I am. It's just... Ma.
Uh-huh.
She misses the library, but she was getting to the point where she couldn't do the work no more. She couldn't. Not in the right way, anyways.
Doghouse.
I know. I'm sorry. Sorry, I am.
You'd better come clean. Were you supplying her with the books?
Not exactly. I'd drive her to the library and she'd pick one off the shelf that she thought needed improving. At first, she did all the work down in my room. I caught her at it more than once, but she couldn't stop.
What about the typewriter?
I really did throw it out, Lance. I really did. But she found it by the dumpster and took it home stealthful-like. That's where she's been working from for weeks.
But how could she get the books? None of the defaced ones were checked out to her. I looked at the records.
She just took 'em, boss.
No!
Remember, she used to bring her work home with her, she did. In her mind, this ain't no different. She wasn't stealing the books, she was fixing 'em.
Surely you tried to put a stop to this.
Of course, but I can't watch her 24/7, can I? I'm sorry, Miss Standish. I'll clean out my desk.
Hold on, Doghouse. Boss, you feel like hiring a new janitor this winter?
I can't let this go, Lance.
Sure, but see if you can't dance to this tune. Doghouse pays to replace the books his mother ruined, Ma Riley refocuses her activities, and we keep the whole thing quiet. Doghouse keeps his job, and the public never finds out about our little discrepancy.
But the books! She can't go on defacing them.
Of course not. But how about we feed Mabel a steady diet of copies from the withdraw sale? You're always complaining that shelf is too crowded anyway. Let her play with them for a while. No harm done.
I don't know.
Oh, come on, Effie. Her heart was in the right place. There weren't no malice. Right, Doghouse?
Oh, no. She didn't hate the books or nothing. She just thought they needed a little fixing.
You hear that, boss? Let Mabel fix the withdrawn copies of Clive Cussler, and she'll be happy.
I don't like that you didn't tell me about this, Doghouse.
Oh, gee, Miss Standish. It was my ma.
Don't think on it too long, Effie. Our happy ending's right there. All you have to do is write it. It took a bit more convincing, but I got our boss to come around. Eventually, she saw that the best thing for the library was to feed Mabel Riley's editorial addiction with cast-offs, then pretend the rest of it never happened. It didn't hurt that Doghouse put in a lot of unpaid overtime, and the stacks were now sparkling as a result. So, my job was saved for the time being, and all was right with the world. Everything except Doghouse, who took a few months to shake the guilt. Books are like people to librarians, and Doghouse was haunted with the feeling he'd betrayed someone. We never spoke of the case, but there were still times I catch him leaning on his broom, his eyes focused on a distant place only he can see. I couldn't do much for him in those moments. Just offer him a 3-fingered Boy Scout salute, and he would smile and salute me right back.
This has been Lance Manley and the Case of the Whiteout Wacko, brought to you by Too Bright. It's right there in the name. It's Too Bright. Lance Manley and Library Detective in the Case of the Whiteout Wacko starred Caleb Silvers as Lance Manley. Justin Kapla played Doghouse Riley. Diane Adams was Effie Standish. And Jeffrey Adams is your announcer. Written, directed, and sound effects by Jeffrey Adams, based on characters suggested by Tom Perkins. The music was by Kevin McLeod at Incompetech.com for the following songs: Dances and Dames, Faster Does It, Covert Affair, I Knew a Guy, and Hard Boiled, all licensed under Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0. More information at the website creativecommons.org. Well, we're going to take a little bit of a break. When we come back, we'll say hello to some of the folks that have written in on Facebook and on Spreaker. You are listening to Bundled Up Live right here on the Icebox Radio Theater. The IBRT's Threadless store is now open. T-shirts, hoodies, even phone cases and protective face masks are now available at our very own merch outlet, iceboxradio.threadless.com. Choose from the IBRT logos, Scoop Sisters, Funny in a Small Town, Frozen Frights, and more. Then choose your merch. Clothing for men, women, and kids in a variety of colors. Accessories including buttons, stickers, mugs, and tote bags. Even notebooks and skateboards are available, and every sale helps the Icebox Radio Theater continue to bring the Northland's stories to the world. That's the Icebox Radio merch store at iceboxradio.threadless.com, or just visit iceboxradio.org.
Hi there, this is Jeff Adams from the Icebox Radio Theater, coming on with a special message for those of you who maybe haven't heard of us before tonight. The IBRT is a non-profit theater group based in International Falls, Minnesota, USA, dedicated to creating great original audio entertainment in all genres. If you go to our website, iceboxradio.org, and click on the podcast link, you'll find over 300 plays divided up into genre-specific podcasts, and the listing is always free. Feel like a laugh? Check out The Laugh Track for the best in comedy. If you enjoy science fiction or fantasy, the podcast for you is Tales from the Rack. And looking for something a little more long form for those long car trips? May I suggest our very own sci-fi comedy series, Radio Icebox. 3 complete seasons now available. And of course, for everything having to do with the spooky season, we have over 50 plays of our horror podcast, Frozen Frights. That's iceboxradio.org. Click on the podcast link to start listening for free today.
Welcome back, everybody. You're listening to Bundled Up Live in the Icebox Radio Theater. Real quick, before we head to our next feature, The Winter Warlock and the Vampire's Guide, I did want to say hello to some of our good friends. Barry from Albany, New York is listening on Spreaker, as is Mary from Denver. Very good friends, all those, as well as Fact Check and Jody, fans of Funny in a Small Town. probably recognize here. Melanie Matson is tuning in. Melanie, welcome, and thank you so much for doing so, as is David Beard. Kenneth Boring saying a very bad echo right now. Kenneth, I hope we fix that. If not, do give me a note, and I'll see what I can do. Otherwise, again, quick reminder, these shows will be going up as podcasts with all the technical problems fixed in the next couple of weeks. Say hello also to Tony Watt and Randy Gamer. I think I mentioned Randy, and all the other folks listening on Facebook. Do apologize if there was any technical difficulties. Hopefully, it's all dealt with now. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, The Winter Warlock and The Vampire's Guide.
Come closer. Come in. Good evening. I am the Winter Warlock, and here in my cave on the shores of Lake Windigo, I keep many stories. Stories of the strange and weird, of danger and mystery. And if you stay long enough, you might find yourself in the middle of a story with no way out. Oh, but don't be afraid. Pull up a rock. Make yourself comfortable. Are you ready to hear the story of The Vampire's Guide? Nothing quite as inviting on a chilly autumn evening as your local watering hole is there. The tourists are gone, the atmosphere is relaxed, and there's nothing to do but contemplate the universe and the amber liquid within the glass before you. That's exactly what our friend Rob is doing right now. See him there, by himself at the end of the bar, his John Deere cap half falling off as he rests his head amongst the impressive collection of empties surrounding him. The only other soul in the place is Carl the bartender, who's finally decided to say something to his best customer.
Hey there. Come on now, Rob. We got to get you up.
Yeah, give me a beer.
No more for you tonight. Come on.
Look, how about one more?
Nope.
I know my tab's kind of high.
Well, it ain't the tab. I don't want you out on the roads this way. You're going to kill... Well, you shouldn't be driving, that's all.
Yeah. Well, how about I leave the truck here? I'll walk home.
Sure, that's good thinking.
Well, since that's settled, another one.
No, Rob, you've had enough.
Think I don't know that?
Geez, Rob,
It's Friday night. I'm celebrating.
Well, it's Tuesday.
Come on, Carl. Ain't no one in the place but you and me. You can't tell me business been so good you'd turn me down. Got no reason to turn me down.
Well, all right, as far as that goes, the tab is pretty high.
Then perhaps I could help.
Oh, Christ, scared me to death. Where'd you come from?
I'm sorry.
We're very light on our feet.
God, another one.
Relax, Rob, just two of the guests from the motel across the street.
Good evening, Carl.
Evening.
2 glasses of red wine, please. And another one for our friend here.
All I got for wine is the cheap stuff comes in a box. Probably not up to your standards.
Oh, we're not picky about what we drink. We just want to be friendly.
That's right.
Since we understand our friend here is the famous Robert Peterson, yes?
Do I know you?
That's right. Introductions are in order. I am called Trey, and this is my wife, Lilith.
Hello.
You say Trey?
We're spending some time in your fair village, and we understood that you, Robert, are quite a fishing guide.
You trying to be funny?
No, not at all. You do guide this lake, do you not?
Of course I guide. Been working on this lake since high school.
Excellent. We'd like to hire your services.
Tomorrow, if possible.
Yes, would you be available tomorrow evening, say after 8 o'clock?
8 o'clock? It'll already be dark by then.
Is it?
Yeah, hardly anything will be biting.
Do you hear that, my dear? Nothing will be biting.
I still want to go. It'll be a full moon and a clear night. Should be beautiful on the lake.
Ah, there you are. Bites or no bites, the little lady wants to go fishing. Unless you're not available, of course.
No, I'm available.
Say, Rob.
You stay out of this. You want your tab, right?
Well, then it's settled. Where do we meet?
Out here at the landing. I'll bring the boat around. You two wait on the dock.
I'll see you at 8.
Yeah.
Say, folks, can I talk to you a minute?
Of course, Carl. What is it?
Well, it's about Rob there. You probably want to get yourself another guide.
Oh?
Yeah, I got some business cards around here somewhere. Guys have left. There's a lot of good guides around.
What's wrong with Rob?
Nothing. Well, okay, he's had a rough time of late. Been a little too good of a customer of mine, if you know what I mean.
Oh, that doesn't matter to us.
No.
No, we aren't really interested in fishing.
Yeah, I kind of figured. You don't exactly look like the type. You're one of them others, aren't you?
What do you mean exactly?
You want Rob to take you to the cabin.
A cabin? What cabin?
You know what I'm talking about. That cabin where it all happened 15 years ago. The murders. Don't you know Rob is the one that found them?
Of course we know. Why do you think we sought him out?
Well, he ain't been right in the head since that night. You can't ask him to go back there. You just can't. Look, I'll show you where the island is on the charts. I'll even loan you a boat. You can go get your jollies at the Devil's Rest all you want, but don't ask Rob to go with you. I don't think his mind could take it.
Did you hear that, dear? The Devil's Rest. They call it the Devil's Rest. Adorable.
Well, everyone calls it that. Newspaper guy from Duluth gave it that name and it just stuck.
Do you know the story, Carl? Do you know what happened in that cabin 15 years ago?
Yeah.
Then you know why it has to be Robert who guides us. And if you know what's good for you, you won't interfere.
Well, now, I don't know very much that I like the sound. What? God almighty, where'd they go? They were right here. It's got to be permanent this time.
Life jackets are under the seat there. We'll get out to the channel and open her up a bit.
That sounds fine.
A couple of spots where walleyes like to bed down. Like I said yesterday, though, they ain't gonna be biting this time of day.
Oh, that's all right. How are you feeling tonight, Rob?
Fine. I haven't had a drink, if that's what you're worried about.
Oh, no. We trust you completely.
All right.
Something wrong, Rob.
Yeah, we gotta have this out. You ain't here to fish, are you?
No.
Two of those people, them, what do you call it? True crime enthusiasts.
We never said anything like that.
Didn't need to. Carl and I had a chat this morning.
Heavens, darling, we've been found out.
Look, I appreciate the business, and I appreciate you paying your fee up top.
Plus a hefty tip.
Yeah, I appreciate that, but I expect you to be square with me. I'm square with folks, so I expect them to be square with me.
Meaning what?
Just tell me exactly what is it you want me to do.
Fine. As long as we're being square, as you call it, we want you to take us to the cabin.
The what now?
You know, the Devil's Rest.
Well, ain't hardly anything left of it.
We don't care. We just want to feel the energy of the place, become a part of the story.
Oh, and speaking of stories,
Oh, yes.
we want you to tell it to us.
What do you mean?
The story. We want to hear it from you.
Oh, I don't remember it.
We'll pay. We understand this isn't quite what you signed up for.
And I'm sure it's very dramatic.
Oh, yes, so we'll pay. handsomely.
Well, wouldn't you rather just read one of the books about it? There's a couple of good ones.
Read them all. We want your version.
From the man who was there.
Yeah? Pay handsomely, you said?
Of course.
All right, then, let's go.
Well then, things have taken an interesting turn for our friend Rob, haven't they? He has a dark secret that the mysterious couple Trey and Lilith are willing to pay for to learn all about some place called the Devil's Rest. It's about a half hour later now, as the boat motors toward a tiny island in a remote part of the lake. About 10 yards out from a dilapidated and crumbling dock, Rob, still at the helm, cuts the engine and turns to his passengers.
Is that it?
I don't see the cabin.
It's through the trees a little ways. Brush is really thick here. Can't hardly see 10 feet from shore.
Well then, you've brought us here.
Yeah, just like you wanted.
Go ahead, Rob. It's all right.
We won't tell anyone you told us the story.
No, of course not.
You know, the night was kind of like this. Only it weren't October, it was August. Late in the month. Already kind of feeling like fall. I was guiding these two fellows from Iowa. Come up for a week. Real nice guys, good tippers. Just a couple average Joes, you know. They didn't deserve what happened to them.
What did happen to them, Robert?
We were fishing up by Gold Bar Landing, about 3/4 of a mile east of here. Real good day. I think we had 5 or 6 walleyes, not counting the 4 in the slot we threw back. A dozen sunnies. One of the guys even got a smallmouth bass. Real good day. So we're out here till near dark. I wanted to come in, but the guys were eager. It was their last day of vacation. They wanted to squeeze in every last bit of fishing. Finally, they agreed to go in. We head back down this very channel. It's close to dark when we come alongside the island. That's when we heard it.
Heard what, Robert?
The screaming. I didn't at first. One of the guys, Tom I think his name was, he flagged me down and had me cut the engine. Said he heard something, so we sat a minute and listened. That's when we heard the girl scream. She didn't sound more than a teenager, and there weren't no playful giggle scream like a girl would do with her boyfriend, no. This scream had the hair on my neck straight up. That girl was in trouble. I said we should go back, call the cops. Weren't no cell service on the lake then. My radio was busted. Didn't have any way to call for help out here. But the guys, they were set on playing hero. I tried to talk them out of it, said we don't know what we're getting into, but they insisted. It was in the Iowa National Guard, you see, so they thought they could handle it. Like I said, good guys.
What happened then, Robert?
Well, we put into the dock there, found a path that cut into the woods, and maybe 20, 30 yards in we found the cabin. It was fallen down, must have been 100 years old. Probably built by one of the first prospectors, but we heard a lot of voices inside. But there weren't no more screams. So we snuck up to a window. One of the guys peeks in and turns white as a sheet. I heard a lot of yelling inside then. They'd seen us. I turned tail and ran just as...
Just as what, Robert?
One of them come out the door. He was all dressed up, wearing a robe like a monk. The hood was up so you couldn't see his face. He had this amulet on. Pentagram. Upside down star.
It's true then. They were Satanists.
I didn't stick around to find out. I run for the boat, get aboard, and cast off. Then I'm looking back for the guys. I waited and waited, and then the screaming started again. That was the worst part. The screaming started and the guys, they didn't come. I waited till I couldn't no more, then I took off. Sheriff came back with me and we found the cabin empty. By daylight, the state police, border patrol, heck, even the Ontario Provincial Police were here on account of the island being so close to Canada. I went over the whole place with a fine-tooth comb.
And what did they find, Rob?
Blood. The place was practically painted with it. No people, though. Hardly any evidence of them besides footprints. No sign of the boys from Iowa. Later, they identified some of the blood as belonging to them. Some of it belonged to this runaway girl from Montreal, probably who we heard screaming. And some of the blood weren't even human. They never did find any bodies. I imagine you know the rest. News played it up big for a while. I even got interviewed on Good Morning America. I thought that might help, but it didn't. It just made them worse.
Made what worse, Rob?
The dreams.
You have nightmares about that night, Rob?
Nightmares? Yeah, I guess. So, would you two like to go up and see the cabin? See, told you. Nothing much left.
Oh, I don't know. The energy of the place alone is worth the trip.
Mm-hmm. Can you feel that?
Yes, it's like coming home again.
So I brung you to the cabin. It ain't getting any lighter out. Not yet, anyway. We should,
We should what, Robert?
We should be getting back.
Oh, no, we just got here.
Yeah, well, as you can plainly see, there ain't nothing here.
What makes you so sure?
Huh?
What makes you so sure there's nothing here, Robert?
Well, I got eyes, don't I?
Yes, but your eyes aren't good enough.
What?
Your eyes. They aren't good enough. I mean, I can't expect you to remember Lilith. You never saw her that night.
What?
But me? I thought you'd at least remember your old friend.
What are you talking about? I never seen you before last night.
Well, admittedly, I have changed a lot over 15 years.
Grown more handsome, maybe.
And you are as lovely as the October moon.
Oh, flatterer.
You didn't look very good that night, though.
Well, I wasn't at my best.
What are you two yammering about? I mean, sorry, but I don't
Quite all right, Robert. I completely understand your confusion. You've been distracted, and I took pains to stay out of your direct line of sight until now. I'm not surprised you never got a good look at me. Look into my eyes, Robert. What do you see?
No.
Recognize me yet?
No.
I'm a little paler and a little more slender than I was. But eyes don't lie, Robert. They're the window to the soul.
Even when you don't have one.
I don't understand it. It's you. You was one of them guys from Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
But it weren't Trey. It was Tom. Yeah, that was it. Your buddy called you Tommy.
Mm-hmm. My good friend, Brian. He was here that night with me when we rushed into this cabin so hastily. We were given a choice, he and I. We could either join the party or become dessert. Guess which one he chose.
It can't be.
If you think that's mind-blowing, ask fair Lilith what she was doing that evening.
Well, Pray, if you were the dessert, would that have made me the main course?
I don't understand.
The screams we heard, Robert? There was a girl, a teenage runaway from Montreal. She was here that night, tied to a spot on the wall, right over there. Right, dear?
Such memories.
She was given a choice, too.
I don't get this. I don't get it at all.
No?
You've changed, you two, but you haven't aged. And Trey, or whatever your name is, I heard you die.
No, that was Brian, the sniveling little worm.
It was over 10 years ago, and you ain't even...
Aged? Well, that's a funny thing, Robert. You see, people always put Satanists in one category, and vampires in another.
What?
One is supposed to be a misguided religious fanatic, and the other a creature from fantasy. They really should do their research before jumping to that conclusion. You see, we do worship the Dark Lord, and in return he gives us so many things.
Unlimited time on Earth,
A whole plethora of talents related to the hunt,
including a certain charisma that I'm sure you've noticed.
not to mention a greatly simplified diet.
You're crazy.
Yes, welcome to the madhouse, Rob.
Don't worry, your stay won't be long.
I need a drink.
If you have one, go ahead.
He came with a flask. That's what I call being prepared.
Quite the Boy Scout. Now, Robert, let's have a little talk.
Ironic, isn't it? Friend Robert was haunted by that night 15 years ago, haunted by the fact that he didn't help his two clients or the girl he heard screaming. But our story still has one act yet to play and a few surprises still in store. It is a few minutes later now. Trey and Lilith have donned black robes and lit a fire in the middle of the ruined cabin called the Devil's Rest. Robert stands pinned to a wall, his feet already bound. His hands, still free, hold his flask with shaking fingers as he drinks like a condemned man.
You should lay off that stuff, Robert. It'll kill you.
Here now, give it to me.
No, wait.
Robert, you're being difficult. And you're drinking too much. We need you awake. And we need to bind your hands now.
You don't have to do that. I won't fight.
Oh, we know. But it's part of the ritual. I am sorry, Robert, but it's not much longer now.
What are you gonna do?
We are going to complete what wasn't completed 15 years ago. Our presence here is a kind of penance, you see. Our order insisted on it.
Your what?
Our order. The one both of us joined 15 years ago.
As novices, of course.
Of course.
This is part of the final ritual of membership. Our initiation, so to speak.
And a chance for the order to dispose of the final witness from that night. You witnessed something no mortal should, Robert. No mortal could witness it and live.
I didn't see nothing. I never went in the cabin.
It doesn't matter, I'm afraid.
I didn't tell anybody what I saw.
You told them enough.
What are you gonna do?
Close the circle, Robert. Prove to our master that we are loyal. And tie up a very annoying loose end.
And, of course, feed. Which we haven't done for so very, very long.
Not really, anyway.
Blood banks and volunteer donors just aren't the same.
I know.
You gonna turn me into one of you?
No. You, unfortunately, can't have the same options we had that night.
I thought if you got bit...
A common misconception. But we'll drain you, dear. We'll drink our fill, then spill the rest on this cursed ground. You won't survive.
You can't. You just can't.
We can. And now...
We will. Trey!
I know. Something is wrong.
What's happening?
I don't know.
Trey! I can't feel my legs.
Oh, God. Lilith, I'm blind.
Trey!
Rob, are they...
Yeah, it's working.
Who's there?
It's that bartender. It's a trap.
Rob, are you going to be all right?
Finish it, Carl. Like we planned.
Trey, he's got stakes.
What? Where is he?
Trey!
Alright, now do her.
Who are you people? What did you do?
Oh, it's Rob's idea. It was all his idea. Ever since that night in this cabin, Rob's been tormented. Yeah, he hadn't slept much at all, but he didn't let his time go to waste. He researched your kind. He found out you can't be killed but one way, but you can be weakened, you can be knocked out. That flask is full of a potion we found out somewhere up in the Carpathians. It's a potion humans can stomach, but your kind sure can't. Knocks you low for long enough to finish the job. Poison the bloodsucker. Weaken him, then it's a stake through the heart.
The Order has money. Power. We couldn't give you anything.
Can you keep my friend from turning now that you fed on him?
Well, there must be a way. We can...
Carl!
I know.
Wait! Don't! I'm not ready!
It's done.
Not yet, it ain't.
No, Rob, no.
You got to, Carl. I can feel them on my neck still. I feel it spreading from where they bit. I'm feeling different already. 10, 20 minutes, I'll be all in your neck and we'll all start over again.
Rob, I don't think I can.
Don't think. Just do it. Please. We planned on this. Brought 3 stakes, remember? 3. This was always part of it. Please, Carl, don't let me become one of them things.
Just look away, would you please? And talk about something. Just talk. Anything.
Sure. I get it. You know, I don't know why I didn't just quit. You know what I should have done, Carl?
What's that, Rob?
Should give it up and head down south. Get a trailer in Texas or something. Costs next to nothing.
Yeah?
Yeah, just a little place. Maybe a little pond nearby in case I get the itch to fish again.
That sounds real nice.
Yeah, it does. In the winter as well. We know they'd be a heck of a lot warmer, right?
Well, it's tough to tell who is the bait and who is the fish in our little tale, isn't it? Just be glad that Carl kept his nerve and his word, and everything worked out perfectly. Oh, except for Carl, who now has to explain 3 dead bodies with stakes driven through their hearts, but details. This concludes this story of the Winter Warlock. You may return to your own world now, but be sure to mind the lake shore. The drop-off is steep, and you wouldn't want to fall through the ice this time of year. catch your death. Until next time, wrap yourself up tight, children. It's cold outside.
This program, The Winter Warlock, a tribute to old-time radio horror, was titled The Vampire's Guide. It starred Jeffrey Adams as the Winter Warlock and Carl. Justin Kapla portrayed Rob. Aela Mackintosh was Lilith. And Caleb Silvers was Trey. Written, directed, music, and sound effects by Jeffrey Adams. This program copyright 2021 by the Icebox Radio Theater, which is solely responsible for its content. Partial funding made possible in part by the voters of Minnesota through a grant from the Minnesota State Arts Board, thanks to a legislative appropriation from the Arts and Cultural Heritage Fund. And now from all of us here in International Falls, this is Jeffrey Adams saying thanks for the download and reminding you to keep listening.